There we go.
I know a few people from my company. They want to pretty much embarrass me, so they've decided to join the call.
Amazing.
So they will be joining as well. Just to put me on the spot, you
So,
know.
so as advertised, if there are any questions, please do pop them into the chat, and we'll either try and weave them in or try and answer afterwards. But shall we kick off for now? Should we kick off as we're here?
Yes, yes,
Awesome.
absolutely, yes.
So thank you everyone for joining us this, I would say sunny lunchtime, but it's kind of half and half, to talk about VAT. And I have the wonderful Henrietta Amponsah here to talk about how she got into VAT, why she's still here, and probably a whole load of other things besides. We've got about half an hour, and I think the tricky bit is going to be trying to squeeze everything in. Because I think, Henrietta, when we've had conversations before, we'll catch up for 15 minutes and then it goes on. So could
Yeah.
just it, and hopefully everyone who's watching as well, if you've not met Henrietta, you'll start to get some of the enthusiasm coming through. So, Henrietta, as we begin then, how did you find yourself working in the world of VAT and what keeps you there?
Yeah. So again, like we spoke last time, I always say it's an interesting question because I don't know about, the guys on the call and I don't know about you, but I never woke up or I wasn't born thinking, oh, my dream is to work in VAT.
No,
It
no.
just no now you are surprised now. I just think it was an opportunity. So I did my ACCA, and as I was doing my ACCA, I chose to do my tax paper. And one of the things that really intrigued me was my tax paper. And as I got into it, I was learning about it. I thought I want to move into the world of tax. So I decided to move into the world of tax. Had a bit of exposure to corporate tax. And as I was doing corporate tax and VAT together, I decided to focus more on VAT. And that the main reason being, it's very dynamic, it's constantly changing. You have that aspect of technology to it that is really, really exciting as well. And it's not, pretty simple. It's not, tailored where you're just constantly reviewing the same things. You're constantly changing in terms of countries. Every country is completely different. So you always have that extra challenge in thinking out of the box and thinking, well, if I apply it to this country, I can't apply it to that country. So I think what attracted me to VAT is, the complexities and the challenge it comes with, and the fact that it's not the same for every country. And I like a good challenge. It makes you think, it makes you see things differently. I mean, I don't know about you, Nikki. You're in VAT as well. I mean, what attracted you to what
Yeah.
pulled you into VAT and what makes you stay still?
Well, actually, I guess the reason for, as you say, I didn't wake up one day and decide this is what I want to do. It was the case, and I noticed, from working in recruitment last year, it seems to still be the case, that there are lots of vacancies in VAT. So I thought I'll give that a go. Coming from a corporate tax background, and similarly, it kind of made more sense to me. Some people
Hmm.
have said this is a strange approach, and direct tax makes more sense. But to me, you've got a transaction, someone's doing something to someone else, and then it's just working out sort of the details and really getting into the I guess all the nitty gritty, like actually what is going on and what is happening.
Hmm.
And I guess then that kind of leads me on a little bit to think. So at the moment, you're working in an in-house role as head of indirect taxes. I remember
Yeah.
when I first started in tax, people would say work in practice because it's so varied. You get all these different companies and things like that. And it was almost as if you're in-house, it's kind of one business and it's the same thing. So I don't know how that sort of sits with you, what you would say to someone who goes, "Oh, in-house, it's just the same thing every day." Does that resonate with your experience?
Absolutely not. I think in-house is a lot more dynamic than practice. I have worked in practice, and in-house compared to practice are completely different. I think when you're in practice, you see, you deal with clients. Clients do come with different, issues and queries for you to look into. I think your whole most of the time is spent on researching, whereas when you're in an in-house role, you act more as a business partner than, and it's already focusing on the advisory and you act as a business partner and the implementer of the rule, right? So you would get a I don't know, maybe you have a project in-house and as you're looking into the project, you have queries where which you refer to your advisors, the big four or whoever your advisor is. You get the advice. What they provide you is they'll provide you with tens of pages, hundreds of pages sometimes, and you read it, and you have to make sense of those pages. And your role as an in-house professional is to take those pages, pretty much summarize it to a language that is really elementary for everybody to understand within the business who aren't tax professionals. So you're acting as a partner, a business partner to those, to the business, and then subsequently being the implementer. So it's absolutely not dynamic. It's not absolutely not, the same. You're constantly dealing with, queries from sales, from supply chain, from, senior management, from audit. So it's constantly changing. And the beauty around, in-house role is you don't know what to expect. One day is not the same as the other. You wake up thinking, I'm just going to clear my emails today. And then the next thing you know is there is a project here that you're being pulled into. So you need to advise, or there is a sales deal here that you need to advise. So I don't think the two are the same. And then again, both of them are interesting. It just depends on what one prefers. I think they're both great, but they're not the same. I think in terms of the role you play, one plays a research role and then fully advisory role. The other one plays an advisory role that is also a business partner and an implementer, which are completely different.
I see. And it's interesting you use that term business partner as well. I see it
Mhm.
all over LinkedIn, but I'm sure different people might think of it in different ways. So when you say business partner,
Mhm.
what does that role sort of mean to you? How do you interact with the business, I suppose?
Um, a business partner, in my understanding, and the way it plays into my role is if you're working on a project, you have to be, the collaborator. So you're collaborating on the project. At the end of the day, it's a business, right? And the goal is to be successful and achieve the objective. So a partner is one that also contributes into achieving this, the objective. So if there is a tax issue or there is a tax advice that needs to be translated, the partner then takes the advice, breaks it down into pieces and in sections that are understood by the various relevant businesses, part of the businesses. So if I got an advice on, I don't know, VAT reverse charge rules, and I'm explaining it to somebody in sales, I need to explain it to the person in sales to the point where they become familiar with it, they understand it. But the other critical thing around it being a business partner is also being able to listen to the other side of the business because since one is not a tax professional, we're not all tax professionals. That's why you have, people that specialize in tax and they help sales and procurement and whatever. I think that the most important thing about the business partnership is the listening bit. You have to really
Yeah.
listen because if you're not able to listen, you can't listen, and you're not a good listener. There is no way you can form some sort of partnership because it's all about understanding each other, meeting halfway. Um, so to answer your question, what it means for me, it means being able to collaborate on the same project, meeting the objective, at the same time being able to listen to my other, counterparties and what they need because my objective or the goal for a salesperson wouldn't be the same
Mm.
goal for a tax professional, or it wouldn't be the same for procurement or supply chain. It's more around coming together to achieve the goal. And that's what partnership is, and the key to partnership is communication and listening, and that's what that's my definition. And again, I
Yeah.
don't know about you, Nikki. You may have different thoughts about it. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that bit you mentioned about sort of working together to get to that objective. And it did
Mhm.
spark a little question in my mind as well, because I was wondering, well, if you're going out to the business and you're coming from, say, the VAT point of view and saying this has to happen. Um,
Mhm.
if you meet resistance, how do you kind of manage if someone goes, but I don't want to do it, or that's probably not the best. I'm sure nobody would say it, but if you get some sort of that won't work for us, how do you sort of work together to find a way a way forward?
I think in my, in the years I've been in this role here, one thing that has really come in really useful to me is, you know, being able to listen and being able to tell a story. So, as I mentioned earlier, in tax, our role is all focused around compliance. So we have to be compliant and, follow the rules in the relative, countries. Um, but I think at the same time, what makes a good tax person, and going back to the business partnership, what makes a good business partner is being able to listen and being able to tell a story. Because most of the times, as rules come in, rules get mandated in various countries, the salesperson, and I use sales a lot because, as a business, you have to generate revenues lead to profits and whatever. And I use sales a lot in this, in this session here. And that is because most of the rules that come are mandated in the various countries. The aim is not to generate revenues for businesses.
Mhm.
No, the aim is to keep compliance, governance, controls, reporting, and whatever, right? Um, so when a salesperson comes to me and they say, "Oh, there is a new rule and it's mandated," and a salesperson comes to me and I say, "Well, this is completely against the rules," you end up putting them off in the sense that, the moment they come, if you right away against it, then the next time you're not going to come to you. They're just going to do however they want to do, and then it leads to compliance, non-compliance,
Yeah.
and that creates more issues. And which is why, again, it's important around, the business partner, partner issue here, because you have to listen and you have to tell a story. When they come to me and they say this is the deal I want to do, and then from my point of view, it's not compliant, I have to first listen to the
Okay.
deal you're talking about, get them to explain it, make them understand that I'm actually there to listen and to collaborate and to be a partner to them. The next thing is to then tell a story around the rule that is being mandated and try and, sell it to them that though it's really important you want to do this. If we don't do this, if we don't do exactly what you want us to do, then these are the issues it leads into. And then again, I'm pretty much listening to them, but I'm also telling them why it's not possible. I think it's a lot more easier to get things through when the person in front of you feels like you're being listened to, and you have listened to them and you have taken anything they're saying into consideration, than completely raising a wall again in front of them and say, well, actually, it's just not compliant. I don't think that goes a long way. I think what goes further is, right, I'm willing to listen to what you're saying, but this is the rule and this is what we have to follow. Because if we don't, then there is no revenue, because all we're going to get
Mm.
are penalties and reputational damage, and
Yeah.
that's not what as a business we want. So I think to resolve that issue is listening and then trying to find a middle, the happy,
Yeah.
a happy medium, and that's really important. Being able to tell a story. Again, I don't know if anybody else on the call has a different approach, but as just tax professionals, I think we're very open minded, so we're always willing to learn from each other, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point, and I think it's probably the undercurrent of what you have there as well is being kind of pragmatic, I suppose, in how you approach it, rather than just going, this is the rule, this is what we have to do. That's it. Just seeing if there is that common ground you mentioned, so
Yeah,
that we are compliant, we do what we need to do, we're within the law, we're not going to get
yeah,
penalties, it's all going to be okay. But then, it still sort of works for the business side, which is,
yeah.
so I guess again, coming back to your business partner, that seems to be the theme running through. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, I think that's really what you need. And that's what businesses really look for. They don't, I do have my team at Coat, whenever we're talking about projects, what I look for, I don't look for the person that is, technically switched on and can just go and talk about the issue and process it. I look for the person that is willing to think out of the box and then consider, well, we haven't considered, how this might impact sales, how it might impact procurement, how it might impact legal. And I think that's what you want because then again, when you have something that thinks 360, half of the job is already done because you are eliminating the risk, you're mitigating them, you're just limiting all of those, and it's all about the governance around it, isn't it? So I think that's really important. At least to me, it is really important.
Yeah. And it's an interesting point you pick up on there about the technical side, because I know
Mhm,
certainly if I think back to when I was earlier on in my career, if I was looking at an opportunity, let's say, if I ticked, 80%, 90%, I kind of go, oh, well, I haven't got that extra 10,
mhm,
20. So you know what, I'm not going to go for it. And I think from, the coaching clients and the students I work with as well, sometimes I have people coming to me going, for example, I want to do CTA. Well, why do you want to do CTA? So that I
mhm,
can go and, whatever role. And then it's looking at, but actually you've got, say, ACCA as
mhm,
you have, or ACA. So you already have one of those like super top
mhm,
level hard qualifications. So then the bit you mentioned about having that, you might not have the sort of piece of paper with that
mhm,
particular tax on it. Um, my CTA is in corporate tax, so nothing to do with VAT. Um, but then having that curiosity to go, well, I know this stuff. I'm going to build on that and apply it to the situation I'm in rather than thinking it's a role in a tax or an area that I'm not 100% familiar with.
mhm.
Maybe I've dabbled and enjoyed, but haven't, haven't got to mastery level and kind of taking it forward. So I don't, hopefully I haven't said something that you're about to say in answer to this. But if you were, someone is kind of early on in their career or maybe mid-career and thinking of moving into either an in-house role from practice or moving from, say, corporate tax, let's say, into VAT, is there any advice you'd sort of give in terms of how to start making that move?
Um, that's a good one. I think I would probably be, first of all, I would want to know exactly. I would want to be sure of what I'm doing, right? Because corporate tax, VAT, transfer price, not even moving into finance, they're completely different fields. So I would want to be sure of what I'm doing. But the moment I decide, well, from in-house, I'm moving into practice, or from practice, I'm moving into in-house, I wouldn't necessarily focus too much about the technical aspect. I would probably be more focused about the curiosity of that field. And you know, I think one of the most important qualities of a good tax person is having that curious mindset. Um, so, when I decided to be fully VAT, I didn't know everything about VAT, and I still don't know everything about
I was going
VAT.
to say, who does?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But what is important is that I'm curious to know about VAT. And whenever something new comes up, I'm curious to actually read about it, understand how it affects the business, again, business partnership, and then raise it right away if it does affect the business in any way, shape, or form. Um, I wouldn't say, well, I want to move into VAT and the role is out there and I just know 50% of it, so I don't qualify. I absolutely disagree. I think if you don't put yourself out there, then you're never going to put yourself out there and you're never going to, get the opportunities that you're looking for. I think it's brave to put yourself out there and then go for that, role that you think you qualify 50%. Personally, when I'm recruiting for my team and the times I have recruited, I have always looked for the curiosity in people and not necessarily the technical qualifications in those people. Because if you hire somebody that is technically able, they know 100% yes, they will come, they will do the job, and then that's it. But if you hire somebody that knows 70% of the, of the role, but then has that extra 30% that is willing to learn and to gain, then I think you gain a lot more because that person is then willing to question the process, is willing to question the governance, is willing to come up with new ideas. So I wouldn't necessarily say that if you are in practice and you want to move into in-house and the role is you don't qualify or you don't meet 100% of the role requirement, you should hold off. I would probably say make sure that you get the hiring manager to understand that you're curious enough about the role. You're telling them, though I don't qualify 100%, I'm willing to learn and I'm curious and I'm willing to bring on board whatever, qualities and whatever abilities I have got. And I think that goes a long way than, somebody that is 100% qualified. Because if you're 100% qualified, then what's the value add? If you're 70% qualified but willing to bring more to the table, that's what, as a hiring manager, personally, I would be looking for. So I wouldn't say, you should be put up. I would probably say if you're willing to do it, then put yourself out there.
Mm.
That's the first thing.
Yeah, that's good. And just to clarify as well, anyone watching and going, "What was that?" I'm not saying don't do CTA ever, or just to clarify that point. But I think some of the conversations I've had, it's been, well, I don't have that in a particular area, so therefore that's going to stop me from progressing. So it was
Mhm.
just in that context where someone does have a ACA, ACCA, so does
Yeah.
have that sort of foundation as well.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, you definitely need a foundation, isn't it? Because if not, then how do you, approach tax? Since it's quite a niche and specialized area,
yeah.
you really do need the foundation. But as Nikki, you're saying, if you have ACCA, which is not necessarily a tax qualification, it shouldn't stop you from, moving into tax. I know loads of head of tax, professionals that aren't ACCA, CTA, they aren't qualified, they've just got a degree, and yet they're great tax professionals.
So building on that kind of curiosity and I imagine as well some of the broad qualifications help, when you're talking to finance about accounting and things, you can get in right into the nitty-gritty, possibly in a way that you might not be able to otherwise. But if you've had
Yeah.
that sort of broader financial side of it as well.
Yeah. Again, as you said, having the foundation, I started my career by working in accounting. So when I'm looking at VAT, I don't look at VAT just as in tax. I look at VAT as in how it has impact accounting and your debits and credits, payments, debits
Oh,
and
I
credits.
love them. Yeah.
So so I think having a foundation of finance, what finance is, at least, and then, starting off with some sort of tax qualification, that is already enough. And again, if you have somebody that comes from a different background that is not tax and they're willing to learn the tax, at least you know that you're hiring somebody that is coming on board with different points of view. And though they're not fully qualified in tax, they'll make you consider the financial aspects that they qualified in. So again, it makes well-rounded as a professional. So I completely agree. I think that's definitely better, but at least have the foundation. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that curiosity there. No, absolutely. So I
Yeah.
guess a last probably question before we go on to if there's any Q&A, um, was a that sort of question. What are you most excited about that's coming down the track from a VAT perspective in the context of your business as well?
I'm really excited about the whole technology, the digitalization of VAT. Just to say, I'm doing a tax technology qualification now at the moment,
Oh, nice.
and that is because the whole curiosity and the curious mindset, and this is really what drives me. That is completely changing the world of tax because when you start talking about systems, that is so transactional. That is VAT, the first tax that drives systems, the whole advancement in systems and e-reporting and, e-invoicing and everything, the whole dilemma and the whole importance around data and governance and control. That's all driven by tax because it's so transactional, right?
Mm.
So what really excites me is the technology, and I'm really really curious about learning so much about tax technology and how that is going to shape the future. And this is also the advice that I would probably give as a tax professional: future proof yourself as much as you can. That is it's not just about VAT reporting and then making sure that you're paid the right VAT or whatever. Yeah, that is really important. But what is important is also where and in what systems the data sits in. And I think seeing how the trajectory of VAT is going to look like in the next 5, 10 years, it's all about technology and it's all about systems, right? So I'm very much excited about, and that's what excites me the most.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you can tell from my face, the technology and how that is going to shape the world of tax. It's not just going to be VAT, it's going to be corporate tax, it's going to be transfer pricing, it's going to be employment tax, because our data sits in the systems, our reporting is in the system. So yeah, that's the most exciting thing
yeah.
that
Oh,
I'm
amazing.
looking forward to now.
Oh, awesome. And how are the studies going? How are you
It's
finding
going
it?
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really well. Yeah,
No, it's always good, from my
really
studying
excited.
studying perspective of things, always good to hear people opting for exams and,
Yeah,
and things
I
like that.
literally
Yeah.
told myself, after my last exam, I said, I'm not going to sit exams anymore. But again, learning never stops as a professional,
Yeah,
especially when you're in tax, right? So yeah, absolutely.
absolutely. And I think sometimes, I don't know, have you ever found it to be, sorry, putting you on the spot a little bit, have you ever found it to be a kind of, I'm thinking back to when I was in my early career, for example,
Hmm.
the fact that things kept changing because you were kind of learning it and then it's changing and then suddenly that rule
Hmm.
doesn't matter. And I mean, this was kind of from a direct tax, but
Hmm.
has how do you get over that it's changing and that's it, get towards it. It's a good thing that it's changing rather than um, sort of worrying
I think
about.
things, no. No, I
Yeah.
wouldn't worry about it because if something is implemented now and I know about it, I have the knowledge and it changes tomorrow, I'm grateful I have the knowledge at least. I wouldn't think it as, something that is bothersome. I think it is great. And I think, it's part of development, right? That things are changing because the world is changing and you want to, go move ahead of it. So I wouldn't call it as an issue. I think and again, especially in the tax world, and if you work with a multinational business, it just becomes a norm. It's
Yeah.
just routine. So
Yeah.
you just go with it, right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. I love that as I'd take that away as the quote for the day. Just go with it. Go with the change. Embrace it. Embrace the technology.
Yeah.
Embrace all the transactions going on. Just go with it.
Yes. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So I'll just check in. Any questions from the floor at all? All quiet. No, but if you do have any questions, pop them in the chat. We've still got a couple of minutes left. Otherwise, Henrietta, if people want to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch?
You can always drop me a message on LinkedIn. Happy to take any questions at all. Even have an informal chat as well. Absolutely fine.
Amazing. Cool. I'll just do one final check in the chat box. Uh, oh, here's one. Here's one. AI is going to take our jobs, or I keep hearing AI will take our jobs. Do you agree? In 1 minute.
Absolutely not. I'm the same as you,
Yeah.
Greg. I absolutely don't agree. I think, if anything, AI is going to make our jobs more interesting, and you're going to need more people because AI is somehow, it bases its answers on ULLMs. So it pretty much is biased depending on the information you feed it. And also since you can't necessarily test the information where the source of the information is coming from, you need people like ourselves to review the output. So I completely disagree. It won't be taking our jobs. I think that you'll probably need more tax professionals that have got the mixture of technology and tax to actually, you will need more of those because it becomes rare. You either have IT people or you have tax people. I think what AI is going to do is it's going to put a lot of pressure and a lot of demand on tax technologists and not just tax or IT. So I completely agree. I don't think AI
Yeah.
is going to take our jobs. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's going to be
No.
the other way around.
No, I'm inclined to agree as well. I think, um, just having those fundamental skills, you've got the technology as a tool, but you need to
Mhm.
know how to use it and measure the output.
Exactly.
You talked about governance and processing controls. We need to make sure that what's coming out is in line with what it should be. That it's not
Mhm.
fabricated. Some wonderful back cases from that were probably plausible, let's be honest. But
I mean, I've used Copilot a few times for tax advice, and
mm,
it's giving me completely wrong output. So again, just to completely, negate the theory, it's just not going to take our jobs.
yeah, we're safe for now at least.
Yes, 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 yeah.
Oh, well,
All
thank you
right.
so much, Henrietta.
Oh,
for
thank you guys.
sharing your career and your love of VAT. I think we could all feel the enthusiasm, particularly at the point we started talking about technology. So thank you so much, and thank you for everybody who has joined as
Thank you
well,
guys for joining
um,
us.
having your lunch with us today. But as Henrietta said, get in touch over LinkedIn, drop us a message, and yeah, hopefully see you for the next one, which is I
Yes,
think the 12th of February. 12th of February for the
yes,
next one.
definitely be joining,
Yeah.
Nikki.
Oh, brilliant. Awesome.
Thank you guys.
Cheers,
Thanks.
everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Bye bye.